Rosen in the morning. WRJN.
This is going to be fun. I love this place. It's located in Genesee Depot. It's called Ten Chimneys. And if you've never heard of Ten Chimneys before, you're about to now. Randy Bryant, who's the president and CEO of the Ten Chimneys Foundation, is here. And the reason he's here, we're going to tell you about in just a moment. But first, hey, good morning, Randy. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, John. It's good to be here.
Okay, now Ten Chimneys is located in Genesee Depot. It's more than just a home, a former home of some Broadway legends. Why don't you give us a little history of Ten Chimneys?
Sure. Ten Chimneys was developed by Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne. Alfred used to spend his summers out in Genesee Depot with his family. So when he came into his inheritance, he built the first section of Ten Chimneys and just continued on adding on through then, all the way up until the last edition was put on in the late 40s. But it is as I stated, it's the estate of Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne, who were the premier stage actors from the 20s to the 60s. But it really was a respite for Broadway and soon to be Hollywood, because so many of the great actors would come out there, such as Helen Hayes, Sir Laurence Olivier, Katharine Hepburn, Charlie Chaplin, Boris Karloff, and many people that are no longer here today, but made major inroads in American theater. And so it was the place for true inspiration for not only literary, but theater.
I toured the property 3 times, once with my wife, then my mother-in-law, and then my mother, and then we went there another time I'll tell you about in a moment. And you get to stand in the rooms where, like, Helen Hayes and Orson Welles slept, and you get to sit in that room where they ate dinner. Wow. I mean, I'm a big Broadway fan and movie fan, and to be in the same spot where these people were. Now, Alfred Lunt, Lynn Fontanne, they were the toast of Broadway. They were in a lot of Broadway shows. They made some movies, but mainly Broadway was their big thing. Why did they come to Wisconsin, to get away from it all?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Alfred was born and raised in Wisconsin, and his family was here. This is where he truly loved coming to as a resident. He introduced Lynn, and Lynn totally fell in love. So when he bought the first 3 acres after receiving his inheritance, they had the vision of expanding on and creating this really amazing life for themselves out in Genesee Depot. So as their careers advanced, they continued to advance Ten Chimneys in building additional portions on it. And they really had envisioned this really beautiful country estate. Lynn bought into it coming from England, and it really became just this place where not only they loved to come, and they actually put in their contract that they would spend every summer out in Genesee Depot, and as they would bring their friends, they fell in love with it. So Carol Channing and many of the other Broadway luminaries, they would come out and literally spend a long time. But you got to remember that back then, it was not easy to get out to Genesee Depot. That's way out in the country. So, today we could drive out there in 35 minutes from Milwaukee, but it took you all day in traveling, and if you're depending upon what part of the country you're coming from, it was a couple of days.
Yeah, you had to you took a train to Milwaukee, then you took a pack mule out to Genesee Depot.
Not quite like that.
You get out there.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can tour Ten Chimneys. They have docents out there that will give a tour, and it's really nice. They have a nice gift shop there. It's really nice, but what my wife did for me once, she knows I am a super fan of movies and Turner Classic Movies, and when Turner Classic Movies first came on the air, they only had one host, and he was there for years. It was Robert Osborne. He was the star of Turner Classic Movies, and you guys brought him in for a meet and greet, a Q&A, and my wife said, I got to get my husband out here. That's his hero, Robert Osborne. So she bought me the meet and greet, and I got to talk to Robert Osborne, ask him some questions, and he couldn't have been nicer. I think he was signing a book at the time. And you do that from time to time. You'll bring in big celebrities or artists, and people can buy the meet and greets to get out there because it's a foundation. It's mainly a donation you're making to get in there. And you do that from time to time. Now, how can people check on this? On your website?
So we do it every year. You can definitely go to our website during, and it's several times a year, but you definitely have the opportunity during July when we have the Lunt Fontanne Fellowship, and we have what's called the Conversation Series, which is you're able to attend the conversations with, whether it's a master teacher or someone from Broadway or from someone famous within the arts. I interview them, and then you have the opportunity to ask them questions. That's during the Lunt Fontanne Fellowship Week. And then also during that week, we have the concluding presentation where you're able to see what the actors have been working on with the master teacher. And the master teacher is typically someone that is iconic, someone that these actors who have a minimum of 20 years of acting experience is really going to appreciate and feel like they're going to be able to gain something from them. So once again, Ten Chimneys is about excellence. It's about experience. And so we really try to bring in the top, just like Alfred and Lynn were considered to be not only theater royalty, but really the top of their game. They continue to perfect their craft, and that's what we do at Ten Chimneys.
Randy Bryant joining us. He is the president and CEO of Ten Chimneys, the Ten Chimneys Foundation in Genesee Depot. We talked about Ten Chimneys a few moments ago. Now we're going to talk about the reason that Randy is schlepping all the way to New York. It's because there's a new documentary opening up about the Lunt Fontaines, and it's opening up. They just debuted it at the Lunt Fontanne Theater on Broadway. Actually, there's only one theater that's actually on Broadway. The rest are on side streets, avenues. It's an honor to have a theater named after you because there are a limited number of Broadway theaters. And the Lunt Fontanne Theater is a huge theater. And many big Broadway hits have played there over the years. But now the biggest of all, the documentary premiered. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. And, it was so fitting and proper for it to premiere at the Lunt Fontanne Theater. Again, one of the largest theaters on Broadway, but the one that bears their name, which honors the fact that they were theater royalty. But the documentary is called This Place Matters, Ten Chimneys. And the name comes from the fact that when Alfred died in 1977, Lynn died in 83, and when after they died, Alfred's brother-in-law, George Buckby, he took care of the estate, and then the family, when he died, they put it up for sale. And it came very close to being lost. All these great treasures, everything that was purchased by Lynn and Alfred, everything that was created by the set designers and all that worked out there, it came so close to being lost. Thank God that Dr. Joseph Gart, who was a restaurateur from Madison, he saw the importance, and so he purchased Ten Chimneys and then sold it to the foundation. Once the foundation purchased, they had a think tank, and they came up with the concept of Ten Chimneys. And so we're so fortunate that it was saved. So that's why the title, This Place Matters. But it really is the story of Alfred and Lynn. Most people do not know them because even though they worked all over the country, they only did one major picture, which was The Guardsman. So many people today would not remember them. And so Ten Chimneys, This Place Matters, Ten Chimneys really gives their story. It shows what their importance is to American theater, how they perfected not only what we see as acting today, but those people that they mentored throughout. And so Ten Chimneys carries on that whole legacy with the programs that we have in place today. The Lunt Fontanne Fellowship Program being the preeminent program for actors with a minimum of 20 years of acting experience. All the workshops that we do of new plays in honor of the Lunts, because the Lunts they did mostly new work. And they created their work. They brought together directors, playwrights, actors, and they created work. So, again, the documentary honors them, but also tells the story of Ten Chimneys and what's going on today. and its reverence to not only the past but also to the future. So by this documentary being out, it really illuminates the future of Ten Chimneys.
So how can we get a chance to see it? Is it going to be streamed? Is it going to play at theaters across the country? How do we get a chance to see it?
Well, you will get a chance to see it. The distribution rights are being negotiated right now. I cannot divulge that at this stage now, but you will have an opportunity to see it in 2026. We did decide not to go with Netflix because we wanted to make sure it had the most opportunity of being seen and continue to be seen throughout. So what I can tell you is that the rights we're negotiating now will give us distribution to 116 stations across the country and shown 3 times a year.
Excellent. Now, you're going to let us know, you're going to let me know when this is available so we can talk about it on the radio, correct?
Absolutely. You'll be the first one I call.
That's what I wanted to hear, the first one. That's what I've been waiting for. Okay, so this documentary, and how long is it? About an hour and a half or so?
It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15 minutes. And they don't show movies usually at Broadway theaters, so they had to bring in a screen at the Lunt Fontanne Theater because...
Well, this is an important point. If you think about it, at the Lunt Fontanne Theater, you're right. It is not for movies. It's there as a theater, so everything had to be converted. And there is a major play that's going on right now, and that's Death Becomes Her, which is a $39 million production. And so if you think about it, to be able to get the rights to not only to premiere this at the Lunt Fontanne Theater, but also in the middle of a major production where the lighting and the sound and all that, that production would not want to be disturbed. Plus, it's a union house. It was a major feat. And that's why I say the gods of Lynn and Alfred were really shining upon us because while it wasn't the easiest thing to do, but we got it done. And many people said, you'll never get it. When I said, I'm going to go after Lunt Fontanne, they said, you'll never get it. And my position was just watch it.
You know, I was looking up some of the shows that have played at the Lunt Fontanne Theater. And most recently, you said Death Becomes Her, Sweeney Todd. Just before that, yep. Tina, which was the Tina Turner musical, played there in 2019. The Sound of Music, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, the list goes on and on. The legendary Lunt Fontanne Theater. Now, these are very old theaters, and it is such an honor. And they, from time to time, they'll take a theater, and they'll name it after somebody who donated their life to Broadway, whether it be a writer or, like the Richard Rodgers Theater. They have the August Wilson Theater. But it's such an honor, and the Lunt Fontanne Theater will live forever because these theaters go, I mean, they're like, they'll go on forever. They just keep bringing musicals in there, and they keep selling out. It's very difficult to get a seat to some of these musicals because I follow them, and they're sold out like to 100% capacity every week. And that's what
every night.
Yeah,
every night the Lunt Fontanne Theater is sold out, 1,500 seats every night. And it's important to mention that you said they're old theaters. It's not old. They are historic theaters.
They're historic.
Legacy theaters. And Alfred and Lynn, the Lunt Fontanne Theater was named after them in 1958 in honor of their legacy. So it's a really important distinction in terms of being a historic theater, a legacy theater that is protected. It is protected by historic preservation commissions. So it's truly a great honor to be there at the Lunt Fontanne.
And by the way, the documentary got some real heavyweights to appear in there. Alan Alda, Jason Alexander, who will always be George Costanza to me, but he won a Tony Award on Broadway. I think Jerome Robbins Broadway. I mean, Jason Alexander, we think of him as Seinfeld, but he's been in a lot of Broadway plays and musicals. Carol Channing, another one. Tyne Daly. We remember her from Cagney and Lacey. I saw her on Broadway at the St. James Theater in Gypsy years ago.
Yeah.
Let's see. Coleman Domingo, Olympia Dukakis, Barry Edelstein, Joel Gray. Got to interview him on the radio once. And he was in a movie, but I said to him, I was backstage when you were in George M. at the Palace Theater. My father was checking some plumbing at the theater. And I said, I saw you running back and forth. He didn't seem to care, but, it was big to me. Let's see here.
Well,
Go ahead.
but I was just going to interrupt you because, you're going over some names. It's great to talk about those names and legacy names, but there's also people that are still living today that are doing great work, and young people. For example, Coleman Domingo, who was in Selma, he was in The Butler, he's done many, many great movies, but also many great places in Scottsboro Boys. Along with that, you have Sharon Lawrence, who is an amazing actress, and she's in many, many movies as well as plays. But I love the fact that at the premiere, you had Tyne Daly, you had Alfred Molina, you had David Hyde Pierce, who you remember from
Cheers.
Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier. Cheers. Yeah, Frasier.
Yeah. And then you had Steve McKinley Henderson, who was just an outstanding actor. Not only has he done the August Wilson trilogies, but he's he's doing a series right now on Netflix with Ted Danson. I think I forgot the name of it. But there's my point is that all these actors were there, along with the greats of Broadway. And so this premiere was so important that you had the theater owners that were there. You had Schubert there. You had directors, playwrights, agents. It was just really a wonderful, energized event, and it was something that we'll be proud of for many, I would say, even for the full century. It was really that powerful.
That's a testament to Alfred, Lunt, and Lynn Fontanne because, look who they brought out to the premiere of their documentary. That's really, that's Broadway's legends and the legends that are currently here right now, too. Okay, I know you're standing in the middle of the freeway, dodging traffic. I don't. Cars are going all over, looking not to hit you. So I know you're going back to New York soon, and I want you to have a safe trip. And as soon as you find out who's releasing the documentary and to where, you let me know first. We'll get it on the radio. And if anybody missed any of our conversation with Randy Bryant, who's the president, CEO of Ten Chimneys Foundation, you can hear the podcast. We'll probably have it on late tonight or early tomorrow morning at WRJN.com and wherever you get your podcasts. And also check out Ten Chimneys online because you got to take a tour of this place. The Dosons give a great tour of Ten Chimneys. There's a lot of walking, but it's a big estate. That's what you get when you get a big estate. Hey, Randy, be careful driving, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for sharing some time with us this morning. I do appreciate it, my friend.